So, Pat and Mike are sitting in a pub. And, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. I want to acknowledge that this is the only St. Patrick's Day dinner in America where the speaker will not be telling jokes. I'm going to risk inviting you to be deadly serious with me this evening for a few minutes, very few, as we acknowledge the tie between this place and Ireland, which is going through an unprecedented and really quite astonishing crisis. And that's my subject. The Charitable Irish Society represents many precious traditions, which is why I'm so deeply honored to have been invited by my old friend Catherine to address you. And I will confess that in responding to her invitation, I wondered if I was the right person because of the preoccupation I bear in this period, in this season, really. And so, as I thought about it, what I realized I wanted to lift up is the gift, the largest gift that the tradition of the Charitable Irish Society has given to both Ireland and the United States of America. I'm thinking of the legacy that begins in 1737 or 38, depending on how you count. And of course, in that reference is one of the treasures of this tradition, which it embodies in itself the reconciliation of the Protestant and Catholic traditions. This institution itself embodies the end of the Reformation, counter-Reformation conflict. But more than that, it was born at the very moment, I mean, in the very midst of the invention of democracy. And democracy is my subject tonight, particularly in relationship to the crisis facing Roman Catholicism. And I don't take for granted in the slightest assuming that everyone in this room is Roman Catholic. I know that's not, of course, the case. Or that everyone in this room is concerned in the same way about the crisis facing Roman Catholicism. Nevertheless, those of us who love Ireland have to take seriously the crisis of the Irish Church, and that's my purpose tonight. And in lifting it up, I want to make a simple point about it, which is that the solution to the crisis is the gift embodied in the tradition of this society. Democracy. I want to speak for a few minutes tonight about the holiness, the urgent holiness of democracy. And in order to do that, I want to begin by reading something that I've written. It actually appeared in the Boston Globe on a Monday, some months ago. From a hook on the wall behind my writing desk hangs a rosary that I inherited from my mother. Its glass gray-blue beads are cut with tiny edges, and it glistens. Mom collected sets of rosary beads. Especially favored were rosaries she brought back from Ireland, font of the faith. Irish beads sent prayers straight to heaven. The rosary beside me may not actually be one from Ireland, but lately it has been haunting me. I wonder if it was made in a Dublin institution known as Golden Bridge. It has taken a couple of weeks to get the mind around the revelations of the Irish report on child abuse, a government investigation into the treatment of children at state schools and orphanages that were run by Catholic orders like the Sisters of Mercy and the Christian Brothers. 2,600 pages documented the nightmarish experience of something like 30,000 children across 60 years. Scourge of abuse was the New York Times headline. A climate of fear created by pervasive, excessive, and arbitrary punishment permeated most of the institutions, it said. Sexual abuse of boys was, quote, endemic. The children were treated like prisoners and like slaves. One observer commented that the system wasn't abused. Abuse was the system. At first, reactions were unsparing, and they were unsurprising. An Irish cardinal said he was, quote, profoundly sorry. Many saw the moral standing of the Catholic Church obliterated. Legions of people, including many Irish, have taken this news of yet more clergy abuse as reason to denigrate Catholicism, as if the archest old stereotypes of the church haters have been vindicated. Meanwhile, others quietly join in the throng of ordinary Irish who left the faith behind. That the report names no perpetrators and generates no adjudication constitutes a further offense. My own reactions have been more complicated, taking me back to why the Catholic Church had such a grip on the Irish psyche, if not soul, in the first place. This level of institutionalized cruelty pushes to a question not about the Church, but about ourselves. Who are we? Ironically, revelations of maliciousness by the very nuns, brothers, and priests trusted to be protectors unscores a central Catholic idea, that of original sin. We are all poor, banished children of Eve, and we are all capable of such wickedness. Here is the proof. Yet, we had fled into Catholic devotion in the first place, seeking refuge from such horror, and the horror was literal. The world historic cruelty of the Irish famine, which sparked our fierce Catholicism. One fact suggests the scale of that tragedy. In 1846, the Irish population was 8,200,000. By 1911, a post-famine watershed year, it was 4,400,000. A, quote, devotional revolution, in a phrase of the historian R.F. Foster, turned the survivors into compulsive churchgoers, sparked explosive growth in the numbers of brothers, priests, and nuns, and fixed the Irish in a pair of hatreds, one openly expressed, one hidden. We openly hated the English, whose policies made the famine worse, and we secretly hated ourselves.